you that you can refer to if you save the this presentation. But pretty much everything that I'll be going over can be found directly on the CSUMB Credential Department website. And so I'll just do introductions first. My name is Chris Villanueva, and I am one of the 2 credential analysts here at CSU Monterey Bay. And then Christy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Christy Hanselka, and funny, I usually go first and I get to say I'm one of the 2, or I'm one of the credential analysts, and Chris always says I'm the second one. So I'm the second one today. It's nice to meet you all.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking the lead today on most of the presentation about how to apply for your credential once you're done with the program and have completed all your credential requirements. We will have some question and answer time after the slideshow, so feel free to just hold on to any questions. Maybe if you, Christy, if you can just kind of monitor the chat and answer anything that way, but it might be best just to hold your questions till the end, and then we can get to them that way. That might work well. And then, of course, here are our emails. And if you have specific issues that are kind of maybe unique to yourself regarding the credentialing process, it would be probably best to just go ahead and email those specific questions to us, and we'll do our best to answer those specific questions. But here's our email. Again, you'll need these email addresses in order to apply for your credential application. So again, you'll have this PowerPoint slide to save our email addresses. Now, what we're going to go over again today is how to apply for your credential. And at the end of the program, you will be hopefully applying for your preliminary credential. And these are hot links. And like I said, everything I'm going to be explaining here today will be on our Department of Education and Leadership website. And then when you're on this one, you just click to apply for credential. And this is kind of what it looks like on the website. So when you're on the website, under the department's Education and Leadership, and then apply for your credential. And those would take you to all the links to all the different PDFs that I'm going to show you in coming up. What we're going to start with is the information cover sheet. And the information cover sheet will have all your demographic information we need to apply for your credential to the CTC. What you want to do, though, is only put the first 5 digits of your Social Security number and your date of birth when asked. And just the year. We have access to the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, and of course your month and day. So, and that's asked right here. So even though it says full Social Security number, just put those, because we're asking you to submit all these forms by email, and this just keeps it secure. In the past, we would just have you actually physically drop these forms off to us, and that's when we had the full Social Security number. So not necessary right now, only the first 5 digits here and the birth year under the birth date. The rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. The email that you put here is what we will use to send to the CTC, and how the CTC will communicate to you that you've been recommended for your credential. So this is the one email that you want to keep an eye on. If you use your CSUMB email account, you can use any email account. It's just that you'll want to keep an eye on it. So don't put some email account that you don't check regularly. Everybody here will be looking to get their preliminary credential, and that will be the level of credential that you'll be getting at this point. In the future, the preliminary credential is 5 years valid for 5 years. And in the course of those 5 years, you will go through induction. And again, a lot of the IDP stuff that you were talking about at the beginning or before we started kind of goes to your induction program. And then once you complete the induction program, you'll receive your clear credential. So today we're focusing on preliminary credential. Again, this will be for multiple subject. For a lot of you, it's going to be your first credential. I'm not sure if anybody here possesses a different type of credential, but occasionally we'll have somebody that might have had a special ed credential and going back and getting their multiple subject credential. So for the most part, I believe everybody in this class is going to be a yes here. If you are an intern, just click here. If you are a co-teacher, just click here. I'm pretty sure everybody here was a co-teacher, and I don't believe we have any interns. If we have an intern, I believe it might be 1 or 2, not many in this this class. How did you satisfy your basic skills requirement? I believe almost everybody here, and what I've done already is I've done a check of the course roster. I've kind of seen everybody in the class, and everybody meets basic skills through either having taken CBEST or by coursework. And if you've done it, the new law allows coursework to meet basic skills requirement. Earlier this semester, if you did not take CBEST and pass CBEST, we did an evaluation of your courses, if not here at CSUMB, but also at your junior college. And if you met BSR, we sent an email. The email would have come from the BSR team. It was a specific email account. And the BSR team would have said, you've met your basic skills through coursework. And they provided you with a BSR submission form. And you'll use that in lieu of the CBEST exam. If you don't know if you've passed CBEST, or I mean, you should know if you've passed CBEST, but if you know that you haven't passed CBEST, but you don't know if you met it by coursework, just email me, because I'm kind of doing all the checks right now. And I can make sure that you've met or you haven't met your basic skills requirement through coursework. I believe there's 1 or 2 of you here that haven't, either through coursework or through CBEST. So feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss that. For subject matter, some of you have taken the CSET exams and passed. You just send us a copy of that. If your major was liberal studies, you've met subject matter and you do not need to take the CSET. And I also have emailed pretty much everybody here if they have met it through your degree major. There's a couple of people that have not passed CSET, or they do not have a liberal studies degree, such as somebody has a Spanish major. That person will need to make sure you pass CSET in order to be eligible for your credential and meet subject matter competency. And again, list your major here for the bachelor's degree that you received. And if you've received a teaching job for the future, then just go ahead and put it here. If not, no biggie, all right? Sign and date this form. And this is one of the forms in which you'll use to submit to us. The next form I'm going to go over is the application checklist. The application checklist lists all the items we need as credential analysts to recommend you for your preliminary credential. All the items on the checklist need to be submitted to us in one email. I'll kind of get into that in a minute. So for all our fall completers, so you guys are all fall completers. And I'm going to come right back to this slide right here. I'm kind of jumping ahead because I wanted to show you the application checklist. So this is the application checklist that I was just referencing. There's a link again on the website to this form. And we just went over the cover sheet, the information cover sheet. The next item is a $25 processing fee. Just click onto the hot link on the checklist. You pay the $25 to CSUMB, and you'll receive a confirmation that you paid. Just take a screenshot or make a PDF of that confirmation and use that as verification that you made the payment. The advising form. The advising form is a list of all your courses that you've taken here at CSUMB for your curriculum or for your credential coursework. And that is going to be signed off by Dr. Megan Sulzberger, the program coordinator. And I believe that has already kind of been instructed for you to do. And basically what's going to happen is Dr. Sulzberger won't be able to complete the advising form until all grades are posted. So the last day of class, I believe, is December 10th. Is that correct? And with the delay in posting grades, usually it takes about 2 weeks after the last day of instruction for grades to post to your CSUMB transcripts. At that point, Dr. Sulzberger can sign off on your form if it's all complete. So there's not really any immediacy to either submit your advising form for her to sign right now, or even to get this paperwork to us until that form is signed. So we're kind of pretty much looking at the beginning of January for all these items to be completed and turned into us. And so, and again, a lot of that's because it takes some time for your final grades to post. We can't do anything unless those grades post. We can't say you've completed the program, even if you have grades from your instructors and you know that you've passed all your courses, until they're posted onto transcripts, we can't do anything. So just know that, it takes a little time after the last day of class for that to occur. Rika. Now, Rika's kind of like been on your minds probably for a little while, and I think there has been discussion about Rika. And for the most part, I think most of you will be able to waive Rika based on this information right here. And I'm kind of going back to that previous slide. As long as you meet all your other requirements by December 31st of this year, so at the end of this December, you've passed all your courses, you've passed EdTPA, or you've taken it, and I'll kind of go over TPA in a minute. That is kind of there's a date thing on that I'll get right back to. But you have to pass EdTPA prior to December 31st to meet that Rika waiver, okay? CPR has to be completed. Everything needs to be completed, and only Rika can be outstanding on December 31st. So what does that mean about for grades or for, let's say you have EdTPA submitted, but you don't know if you've passed yet? Well, you can still apply for your credential after January 1st, because technically if you've submitted your EdTPA on December 13th, you receive a passing score on January 10th. Well, the passing score was just the day that you just got it on December 10th, but you actually submitted it on December 13th. So that's when you actually passed it. So as long as you submit your EdTPA before December 31st, and that is passed, then you can apply for your credential in January. I hope that makes sense. If for whatever reason, and let's hope this isn't the case, but if EdTPA is not passed after December 31st, meaning you submit your EdTPA January 1st or later, you are no longer eligible for the Rika waiver. And so in order to receive your preliminary credential, you'll need to pass Rika and pass TPA. And so for the few people that may happen, you can reach out to Chrissy and I, and we can kind of like be a little bit more detailed about the timeframes on how that all will work. Oh, I just lost my light. So, so for most of you, you will submit your EdTPA and pass it before December 31st. So hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of the Rika waiver. And the Rika waiver, sorry, I need to get a little drink, but I'm sorry. The Rika waiver allows you to postpone Rika until you're eligible for your clear, meaning that once you receive your preliminary credential, you'll need to take Rika before obtaining your clear credential. So when you're in induction, you'll want to also work on passing Rika. So that's kind of what the waiver is. It doesn't take away the requirement, it just postpones it to a later date. So don't, unfortunately, Rika is not going away. There has been kind of some like, you know, some push for it to go away, but it's not going to away anytime soon. So eventually you'll have to take and pass Rika. So hopefully that those timeframes are kind of clear. Again, Chrissy and I will be working and can go over those deadlines again if you have any questions like on a personal level. So if you are, okay, I think I'll keep going on the checklist. The TPA, what we'll need is a passing score report of your TPA when you submit it for your credential. You have to complete the exit survey, and you just click on this link, complete the exit survey. At the end, it'll give you a message that you completed the exit survey. Just take a screenshot of that, save as a PDF, and we'll use that as your verification. CPR, make sure it's child, infant, and adult, all three. It cannot just be an adult CPR. It cannot just be an infant child CPR. It has to have all components. Some programs will have pediatric and adult CPR. Pediatric combines infant and child. So, but it has to have all those components to be a valid CPR. And the date has to be December 31st or earlier. So don't postpone on taking CPR. We do accept online CPR. Red Cross, American Heart Association, they all have online CPR modules that we will accept. We don't require first aid. Some of them will combine first aid with their CPR, but we don't require it. So it's only CPR that we need. We need to make sure that you do not have any money owed to the university. So you need to show that you have no outstanding charges with the university. In order to do that, just go to your OASIS account, and under the Student Center account inquiry, and if you're all good to go, it'll say your account has no outstanding charges at this time. Again, just a screenshot of that will suffice. Oops. And again, since most of you are not, if you're an intern credential, we've already kind of verified all this. So just by nature of having an intern credential, you can not submit the CBEST, CSET, or your certificate of clearance. But if most of you will need to make sure that you submit your just an unofficial transcript showing that you've passed your US Constitution, or if you had to take the exam. Most of you are CSU graduates, even from some other CSUs like San Francisco State. If you're a CSU graduate, we know you've passed the US Constitution requirement. The CBEST, CSET, again, if you've taken those exams, just provide us with a copy of your score report. If you meet it through other methods, just make sure that you provide proof of meeting it in those other methods. So those are the checklist items that we need. Oh, and finally, the certificate of clearance. Hopefully, you weren't supposed to start the program without it, but in order to provide documentation to us, just go to the CTC website and you'll be able to do a screenshot of your certificate of clearance from the CTC website. So all we need is just a screenshot from the CTC showing that you have a valid certificate of clearance, or some of you might have a substitute teaching permit or another CTC document that required your clearance. So that's kind of what number 4 is right there. Sign and date this form, and this will be part of what you need to send to us for your credential application. So in lieu of Rika, and I think, we had mentioned before, I'm pretty sure everybody here, or if almost everybody, has not yet taken Rika. So in lieu of Rika, just this is a hot link right here, the IDP Modification Letter. That takes you to this form right here. What you're going to do is put this on, put the date, put your name here, and that what we're doing here is the CTC has allowed us to waive Rika through December 31st due to COVID. And because a lot of you started your credential program in January, and almost throughout summer, you just weren't able to take Rika. So this basically says that you're saying that I was not able to do Rika because of COVID. That's basically just what this is. This will also be included in your IDP so that when you go to induction, they know that you need Rika, okay? So in lieu of Rika, fill this out. And this is for everybody that meets all requirements prior to December 31st. So all those items on the checklist, save as a PDF or a JPEG. And then ideally what you want to do is label each item so that we know what they are, and then submit as a single email to the credential analyst. So we really kind of emphasize, don't send individual emails with individual documents to each of us, because again, we get a lot of emails, and in order for us to be able to keep everything together, coordinated, and to recommend you for your credential as soon as possible, one email with all your PDFs, and you'll send them to both Christy and myself. Christy and I will divvy out the credential recommendations according to our workload. So send it to both of us, and we'll figure out who will process your credential. And again, I kind of really can't emphasize this enough. One email, because if we misplace something because there's too many emails, it just becomes a little bit more cumbersome, and it'll delay processing of the credential. So, and again, like I said, email both of us, and one of us will submit the recommendation to the CTC. So what happens next? Generally, once you submit your credential application to us, in 2 to 4 working days, we'll send the recommendation to the CTC. And the CTC will then generate an email to you notifying that you've been recommended for that credential. So this is what that email looks like. Once you get this email, what you're going to do is follow these directions, and it'll say log on to the CTC. You'll log on to your CTC website. You'll finish the credential recommendation there. So you'll go there, log on, you'll select the credential recommendation, complete it, and then once you complete it, it's going to ask you all of your professional fitness questions, and then you'll pay the $100. Oh no, Chrissy, okay, you'll have to remind me. is the CTC still waiving the credential fee?
Oh, man, I have to look that up.
Okay.
I'll look that up.
Okay, right now, just be prepared, credential fees are $100. So over summer, the CTC had waived some of those fees, but it's not guaranteed. I can't, I don't remember if that fee is, but be prepared to pay the $100 credential fee. If you don't, then that's great. But we don't have any say in that. So if you pay the $100 fee, but that's the CTC fee.
Oh, good news.
What's that?
Good news. It says the 21-22 California state budget includes $20 million to provide a credential fee waiver between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022 for individuals entering the workforce. So it's for those who are getting their, preliminary credentials. So that
it will be for those receiving their initial credential. If you have another credential or another emergency permit, you will more than likely have to pay the $100 fee. But if this is your first credential or permit, your fee will be waived. So that's kind of how that.
Yeah. So like those who may have gotten the fee waiver already for an intern credential, they probably won't get it again.
Exactly. But once you complete the process online, you'll get a confirmation email. The confirmation email means that you're done, and then you don't have to do anything else at that point. If you have employment waiting for you, you can use that confirmation email. Let's see, do I have a copy of it? No, I don't have a copy. But anyways, once you're done, you'll get a confirmation email. It generally takes about 8 to 10 working days for your credential to post onto your CTC website on your educator page. You do not receive any paper credentials from the CTC. That's kind of like, they used to do that like 20 years ago, but all your credential, your official document is on your educator page of your CTC educator profile. And that's where all employers will go to look to see if you have a valid credential. You can make printer-friendly copies of a credential from the CTC website that you could print yourself. So, so generally, again, I said about 8 to 10 working days after you complete this part of the credential recommendation, then you can view your credential online. So let's see here. Once you pay for the, about 2 weeks. And so that's kind of the end of my presentation. How did we do with questions in the chat?
There were hardly any questions in the chat. I was kind of disappointed, feel a little useless. So
I have some questions.
Well, I think they probably heeded my advice to ask questions afterwards. So it sounds like is it Miss Volk?
Hi. Sorry, I'm having Zoom problems on my computer, so
It's okay.
I'm on my phone. So that academic advising sheet that you were talking about, that Dr. Solzberg signs, I believe.
Yes.
Is that something we still need to go in and complete ourselves, like putting the grades and the semesters in?
Yes. What Dr. Sulzberger will want you to do is to fill it out with all your courses, all the grades, and she'll then double check it and then sign off on it. And she'll also will want to make sure that you've passed your Google Educator and did your Google Educator 2 module. So when you submit your advising sheet to her, make sure that you also send her your Google Educator verification.
Okay, awesome. And then one other question I had. So I'm kind of one of the at TPA. I submitted it September 16th. So I'm waiting for my results, which are supposed to come December 9th.
Okay.
If I don't pass, I I guess, have a week to make revisions to turn it in by the last date, which would be December 16th. But then I wouldn't get results until January. So would that disqualify me from the Rika and all of that?
No, as long as, let's say you submitted on December 16th, your second submission, and you pass that submission and you get the score report in January, you still are eligible for the Rika waiver.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And if in January, if at that point you have to resubmit again, then we have to have another discussion about timeframes, because at that point, Rika is no longer an option.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
So
you.
just to clarify, going off of what Taylor had kind of said, this like December 31st kind of deadline for EdTPA is more so for people who have not passed Rika, correct? Like if I have met everything and I have my Rika passed and I have all the requirements apart from EdTPA, then I could come back at any point, like say in February, and
Yeah,
apply for everything, just come back and email. Okay, perfect.
exactly. Because you already have Rika passed. So you kind of have, you don't have that deadline has no bearing for you anymore. So you're good to go. If you have to wait for EdTPA until February, then that's fine.
I think the requirement for the class is just to submit EdTPA for the class, right? So
Right.
you're planning to submit it at least, right? So,
Any other questions?
I have a question. There's a part in one of the sheets that asks if this is your like first permit or your first credential that you're applying for. If I applied for a sub permit in August or September or so, is a permit different than a credential?
Yeah, that's a permit. So the
Okay.
CTC has two different levels of documents. They have permits and then credentials. So this would be your first credential.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay, and then I'll just say, let me stop my share. And I'll just kind of just reemphasize the fact that some of you will have some individual questions, and we're going to be here to help you out with anything that you have.